Hello my lovelies and welcome to today's video. My name is Alya and I'm so glad you stopped by. So today we're talking about natural remedies for allergies. I'm going to take you through the things that I do as I get ready from the morning to this and talk to you about the little things I've changed in my life to reduce my allergies, their severity and how often they occur. And this morning, as you'll see in the video, I had a pretty nasty red eye, but nowhere near as bad as I ever used to get them. So quite mild for me. And you'll see as I filmed the video, it actually went away because I do what I do. Come along and enjoy my little tips and tricks for how I make these reductions and changes in my life and have come to the point where it's just a mild inconvenience as opposed to a really bad red sore eye, which is what I used to always suffer with. So yeah, hope you enjoy. Good morning. So inspired by this eye, I don't know if you can see, this morning I'm going to talk to you about how we deal with allergies, as you would have heard in the intro. Now this happens a lot, especially in Melbourne, because we have awful, what we call asthma storms. Basically these are really high pollen days with lots of wind and lots of just the perfect conditions to set off anybody's hay fever, or if you're asthmatic, probably asthma. And these storms are no joke. They do cause people to lose their lives. People often with fairly mild asthma end up with very severe asthma very quickly, or people who haven't had any symptoms of hay fever all season long, suddenly it just attacks them. So with me, and sorry about my voice, I literally just woke up. With me, it's very simple. I control my allergies in a very holistic, very natural way. I want to share with you how I do that and then go into how I then cope with the little bit of extreme weather that then causes a bit more of a reaction. And just heads up, this would have happened whether I was taking antihistamine or doing the natural remedies. Both methods have worked for me. Antihistamines, however, gave me a bit more side effect. In fact, a lot more side effect. So that's why the natural way, because it works just as well and has no side effects, has been my choice. First thing that I do for skin reactions is I use a very good moisturizer. In my case, it's this serum here. Beautiful dry skin serum with lots of different beautiful oils, and I mix it in a very light moisturizer and I end up with this sort of consistency. I do a lot of my own creams and mixtures and combinations. I just find that it means I have more control. So if it's dry skin season, I just add a bit more of the serum to the base, and in other seasons I just do a bit less. Also, I use a really good SPF sunscreen. So my main thing that I absolutely always do is I use a beautiful eye drop. So my eye drop of choice at the moment is Evolve. That's just my choice at the moment. Any preservative-free eye drop, and I find that I need to use it just once a day. Probably first thing in the morning is my go-to. If your eye is a little bit drier, twice a day, up to 6 times a day is perfectly fine. Even if your eye doesn't feel dry, if you find that when you use those drops, things are getting better, that in itself is an indication that the eye was, just not coping. Now, the issue with dry eye is often it's not dry at all. Often it's the other way around. It's actually a bit of a weepy eye. And that's just the eye overcompensating for its dryness. So if that's you, then by all means, try and moisturize. It's very similar to how when you have dry mouth, you might salivate a bit more, or try to salivate a bit more. That's the same thing that the eye will do. There's structures in place to, to do something, but often it's the wrong thing. Use allergy eye drops if there is a flare-up like today. I don't think I'll need to. I think that the drops are already working their magic. But before all that, or maybe after, depending on how your day is going, is I do a little bath for my eyes. I do one at night because this is something that was already, I kind of knew this would happen last night, so I did it already. And it helped a lot because normally if I have a flare-up like this, I have half a red eye. Like you can very visibly see this big red patch. But this morning it's just a little bit of redness under the lid there, which is kind of nothing for me, really. Usually if I have an explosion of episcleritis like this, it's quite significantly across the eye, or allergic conjunctivitis, whichever. So I do a little cup of water, no different to this cup of coffee that I've got sitting here. I put hot boiling water, straight from the kettle, into there. I let it get to room temperature. As soon as it's, pleasant to the touch, so a little bit warmer than room temperature, I add 3 drops of lavender oil. That's all it is. A beautiful natural lavender oil. And then with a clean cotton bud, I just dip it, make sure that there's not too much excess water so it doesn't run all over my face, and I just bathe the eye in that beautiful solution. And often, more often than not, it's all gone by the morning, and I think it's done probably 90% of the job today. The other thing is I have a bottle of lavender that sits in my shower. The reason for that is often this will happen it'll be more extreme after I've washed my hair. I think that just the hot steam of the shower does exacerbate it a little bit. And if I have a quick shower, it's one thing, but when I'm there for a longer time washing my hair, that's where it really kind of plays havoc with me. So a lot of the time what I'll do is I'll just drop a little bit of lavender just on a sponge in the shower, and it acts as an aroma kind of therapy. And it also, first of all, it's very relaxing if you're having a shower at night, but also it just calms everything in the body, all kinds of inflammations, not just the eye. But my favorite remedy of all is when you don't have to remedy at all, and that is absolutely prevention. And how do you prevent allergies? Oh my goodness, you would think, you get an allergy, you take an antihistamine, whether it be natural or otherwise, and that's it. You get rid of your allergy, or you get rid of your symptoms anyway. Well, if you are going to take an antihistamine, I highly recommend something with a mast inhibitor. Mast cells are the cells that actually produce histamines in our body. So instead of taking an antihistamine, my recommendation would be to stop the cells that actually produce the histamines in the first place. So you're getting ahead of the process that way, which is rather marvelous technology. A really good eye drop, if you're looking for eye drops that just works so quickly, is Chromo Fresh. Look, they might be called something different around the world, but they are available around the world. So that's Chromo Fresh. It's cromolyn is the main ingredient, and it's fantastic, fast acting. It's preservative free. It's all the good things. And if you really want to, you can go into things like, your Zyrtex and your antihistamine branded eye drops. They do work. But they're just not as nice, not as natural, and so forth and so on. So I wouldn't be using them if you're someone who's a chronic sufferer. The other ones that are really good are Zaditen. They come in a unit dose as well, which is preservative free. They're lovely. They work really well. You do need to use either one a few times a day to get a result, but not forever, and just until you get your result pretty much. Again, avoidance is better. Avoiding it is done by protecting your body from having the reaction in the first place. So diet is a really big component with allergies or of any sort. You want to avoid anything that's going to stress out your body, and this is going to be individual to everybody. So you want to be able to have a good naturopath or a doctor who's, that way inclined to explain to you what's causing inflammation in your particular gut. And it's going to be different for everybody, but of course things like preservatives and colorants are going to be a big one. The other thing is when you have nasties in your water, in your beauty, in your sunscreen, all that sort of thing, it causes extra stress on your immune system. So it's more likely to go when something extra comes and stresses it out. So by avoiding those things and removing that extra tax on your system, you're going to get yourself ahead of the game, which is fantastic. My extra trick, my extra ammunition is honey, and not just any honey. It has to be a local and a pure cold pressed honey. It doesn't have to be Manuka. It doesn't have to be any particular schmancy pants honey. In fact, I would prefer the opposite. I would prefer a bee that's allowed to roam crazily around my suburb, that then collects the pollen that I'm allergic to, brings it into its hive, produces this honey with bits of this pollen, and then all I have to do is eat it. And it's effectively a vaccination against allergies, against pollen. If you can tolerate honey, you don't need much. So if you're worried about things like sugar intake, whatever, it's just the tiniest amount. The other thing about these smaller local hives is they're very ethical. These bees live a fantastic life. And if you actually look up the way bees are carrying on around the world at the moment, their numbers are quite low. So when you support these local guys who treat their bees well, who never overfarm the honey, who, they're just so good to their livestock, if you like. What you're actually doing is you're increasing the population of bees, because these bees live longer and happier lives. So these bees are going to be pollinating around your area, which means more local green produce, more organic produce, because they're typically grown inland as opposed to these big commercial farms. That means that your farmer's market, where your neighbor comes to sell her tomatoes, or the other neighbor comes to hand out his plums, or somebody puts out a basket of lemons on their front step that are purely grown in a backyard without any pesticides, any rubbish, anything extra except for love and devotion. That's going to happen much more readily with a good, healthy population of bees around. So it kind of goes full circle. And these beautiful pollens, because they're local to you, they're going to straight away protect you from the nasties in the air. It's really, really wonderful, and it works so well. But like any natural remedy, whether it be the oil or the eye drop, or which isn't 100% natural, but it's a much sort of low tox option, your diet, your honey intake, or just detoxing your world. The key here is consistency. You want to be able, like if you're going to wipe out toxic soap, for example, from your house, which is probably the easiest and the place that I would start, what you want to do is then you want to consider what soap you're using at work, what soap you're using at the restaurant, what soap you're using when you go out. And sometimes that means, having something with you so that you don't have to use the sort of cheaper stuff that's out there. The really great thing is to always remove your makeup before sleep. Now, I'm not so much fussed about eye makeup for me, because I use a really natural brand, or natural brands plural. So I've got my Ether Beauty palettes here. I've got my beautiful Double Down Cosmetics here. I've got my Savvy Minerals here. These are all brands that are nasty free. But what they are not are naturally occurring to your body. So even if it's beautiful natural shea butter in there, or even what if it's just a beautiful bark extract? What if it's a beautiful natural mica, or ethically sourced mica? All these things are really fantastic, that we're supporting a good company, and it's definitely less taxing on the body, that you're using good quality products and all that sort of stuff, and it's definitely safer for your overall toxicity, 100%. But the eye doesn't naturally have tree bark extract on it. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Or the skin. I was actually reading the foundation ingredients, so the skin in this case. I'm ecstatic that that's what they're using, and that's why I support them, and that's why I buy their products. But it's still not something that you want to be going to sleep with on your face. And the way you remove it is also as important. You want to be able to not only, take this top layer of effectively alien product off your skin. You want to do it in a way that's non-abrasive to the skin, that's deep cleansing to the skin, and also you want to re-nourish the skin, because all day long those moistures and those oils were building up and being pulled out, and you want to re-establish a sort of status quo, that you want to get things back into that they're neutral. And if you do that, if you successfully do that on a routine basis, it's another tick against the stress that you're putting on your body. Having used these products now for 3 years, I actually know that at home it's pretty much of a muchness in terms of cost, but commercially I don't think it's so practical. So I can understand why big companies aren't going to invest in changing their bathroom soap, but there's no reason why, for example, something like this, a bottle like this, right, that can be closed. This one's got a pump spray on it. I've got a similar one just from the pharmacy. You can have one with a pump spray. You can have one with just a pump, like an actual pump. I've got one here for you guys. I took this one overseas with me, and it closes. It's got like a little thing on it, and it closes, and does not leak. It didn't leak in my luggage. There are ways to have like a little cosmetic bag of, you've got your lipstick in there, you've got your, whatever else, your sunscreen in there, and just a few little bottles of things that you can use as an alternative. Even to the point where at work, I use my own hand sanitizer. Even though mine's medical grade and it's got all the good things in there, I still use mine because I know it's just better and less toxic. And it just means that at the end of the day, my hands aren't itchy, which is not something that I can say of the really, really great quality medical brand one that is my alternative. Someone who only recently was on the other side of it and going, oh, it's too expensive, it's too hard, it's too much to learn. How do I know what oil to use for what? How do I know what to substitute? How am I ever going to substitute at all? The quick answer to that is it's actually not hard at all. trust me. I did it in a very short amount of time with very minimal research into individual issues. That is, there's an app for that, you know, as well. It's very easy. But where I would actually start, and this is what I tell everybody, is read the ingredients on your soap. At the end of the day, soap, shampoo, so hand soap, shampoo, body wash, makeup remover, makeup, you know, products that we use daily, they're going to be the highest toxicity. And then the next place I would look at is in your laundry. So your laundry soap, your dish soap, that sort of stuff. If you can change out your cleaning products for your body and for your home, you've already done 90% of the job, really. I don't see the kind of use around the house of other chemicals the way we use household products, the way we use body wash and things like that. It's worth it. It's worth reading that ingredient. It's worth seeing things like, just off the top of my head, talc, and going, right, my body doesn't need this, and seeing a decrease in allergies eventually as you detox, seeing a decrease in headaches eventually as you detox. You know, that might not be the cause of your problems, of your health issues, but they certainly were of mine and many of the people I know. So it's just something to consider. Okay, my lovelies, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and look, as I've been getting ready, my eyes gotten a lot better, so it's proof it does work, and I've managed to do a whole face of makeup, and the redness and the soreness there has been very manageable. It's practically gone, and I was able to still get myself together for the day. So yes, I did hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you consider implementing some of these tricks and tips in your own lives to reduce any kind of inflammation you might be experiencing or allergy. Don't forget to hit that big like button and subscribe for more videos like this one and more information about eye and health and all good things about Alya's creations. For more stuff, if you're interested, jump onto Instagram or Facebook, and there's always good stuff going up there. Wherever you are around the world, lovelies, I hope you're having an amazing day. You're staying very safe and healthy, and I can't wait to see you on the next one.